105 freeway. We're in the Southgate area, and you can see it right there. Continues on westbound. Look at all the slow traffic. Woof. What's he doing? Oh. A lot of traffic coming up here, a lot of traffic. Coming across, coming across, coming across. Coming across. Marla, that's just information that we've heard on the scanner earlier on. They were passing along that information to law enforcement. That's going to be the California Highway Patrol still behind it. The traffic on the 105 seems to be slowing down a lot, and this vehicle not slowing down at all, making a lot of these weaving and bobbing types of moves, getting very close to a couple cars, hasn't swapped any paint as far as we can tell. California Highway Patrol, well, these guys, they've got the lights and sirens. They'll get the traffic out of the way. This person right here, he's basically just making his way, pushing his way between there. You saw at least two very close calls as he basically threaded the needle, as it would be, making those high-speed maneuvers here on the 105 freeway. Marley, you're 1,000% correct. I'm always so worried about the folks that are just driving on the road, and then this vehicle comes up at 80, 90 miles an hour, maybe even 100. Right now, though, the speeds, they seem to be kind of wobbling back and forth, making me wonder if this driver has a plan. Possibly. They were on the 5 freeway for the longest time, and then basically moved off onto the 91, and then onto the 605, and now onto the 105. So this person might know these freeways. They might have a destination in mind. San Diego, that's not a county that we usually hear these pursuits coming from. This has been going on for quite some time. They actually had an airplane, a California Highway Patrol airplane over it for a while, keeping an eye on it. That basically peeled off in the Orange County area. Right now, though, this vehicle, you can see it using all lanes. Any opportunity, anything that's open, that car is going to use it. California Highway Patrol, they're right there behind it. We are coming up on some interchange. There's some other freeways, some other choices, but right now seems like we're way off to the left, so it's going to stay here. But you know, we've seen these drivers in the past. When they see that opportunity, they'll just zip across all those lanes. Again, not sure why this driver's doing that. Is that just an intimidation factor? Is he driving crazy, hoping that the law enforcement might back off? Because there's no reason for him to get so close to these other cars, but apparently he is on almost every opportunity. Right now, though, you can see it. Speeds have slowed down just a little bit. There is traffic on the 105 today, and right now this car, he's hanging out the window. hanging out the window. Maybe we can get onto the other side. We're going to try to move Skyfox over onto the driver's side, but showing his hands out the window there, and again, little slower speeds, but still, this is something nobody wants to see. Law enforcement, especially when these drivers start acting so reckless that and blazing that they're making these weird maneuvers on the freeway. Right there, I believe that's going to be the 110 that we're passing. So this car moving very, very quickly. We're going to run out of freeway here pretty soon if he doesn't get onto the 405. That's true. You never know who else is in that vehicle. So many times in the past, I thought, just that driver, how else could it be? But then in the end, we'll see 3 or 4 other folks get out of it. In this case right now, the driver's window goes down, goes up. So this driver, and apparently, I'm not sure what that deal was. Looks like the driver might actually be a little bit agitated. It's kind of misleading when you see those numbers, 93 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour here, and you just kind of see him passing slowly past these other cars. That's a little bit of a misnomer. That is pretty correct right there. I hear the California Highway Patrol calling out those speeds as well. Right now, though, we're going to start getting into the LAX area. I personally, just because I just don't want to make this pursuit more difficult than it is, when he gets in the LAX, we've been there in the past. They might not let Skyfox into their airspace, so we might have to move around or make some kind of maneuvers. Right now, though, we seem to be established on the 105. The 405 coming up. He is from San Diego. Perhaps he'll make his turn to the south, try to get back that way. But again, he came out of the San Diego area. We're up here in the Los Angeles area. Law enforcement is law enforcement, but there you go. This is what we were talking about. Just because he was way over there doesn't mean he's going to stay there. Making this hard move there, looks like he could be getting off the freeway or he could be transitioning onto the 405. And back over. A lot of traffic. Wedged. Yep. Yeah. Oops. It definitely, Marley. And you know what? You bring up time, and you brought up that distance of a couple hundred miles. If this vehicle had a full tank, what do you got on a Nissan like that? Probably about 200, 300 miles, and that's if you were completely full. So this person probably starting to think, man, you know what? Maybe I'm starting to run a little low on gas. And we've seen so many of them come to an end like that. Just the car kind of giving up before the driver. Right now, though, Dylan moving Skyfox in a way where we can get a little bit of a better look at this driver. And this is the first time that we are able to actually kind of peek in there. We can definitely see his hands there, and it seems like he's right now very relaxed. Earlier on, we saw 2 hands out of that window. So you just got to kind of wonder, this person very lackadaisical about safety. That's the only thing we can say. 80 miles an hour on the 105. You know what? Between you and I and everybody else listening, who hasn't done that in the past? But you know what? This person is running from law enforcement. This has been going on for quite some time. So right now, the problem is they just want to bring this to an end safely. How they're going to do it? Well, right now the plan is just to stay behind it, warn the public, give everybody heads up that this is going on. But they might be having something else up their sleeve. And I can tell you, if this does get off the freeway and those speeds are right, we might be able to see a pit maneuver. Yep. Yep, right about 35. Yeah, right about 35. We've seen it a little bit faster. But of course, like I say 1,000 times, law enforcement always has safety in mind. Safety first, even safety of that suspect. Speeds you can see are really, really slowing down right there. Looks like we're getting into the LAX area. There was some, looks like a stalled vehicle. And the car just kind of, looks like he's going to make his way, trying to make his way off the freeway here. I believe, oh, I can read it right there. I'm sorry. This is Sepulveda. Now, if he does keep going and he gets underneath that LAX, underneath the runway, there's a lot that can go on. But this reckless driving, this is almost showboating. It's like almost daring the officers. And this is something nobody wants to see because you know what? When before great, what is it, a fall comes after great pride or something like that. But you know what? This is nothing to be prideful about. Driving recklessly, possibly hurting somebody, that is not the right thing, and we never want to see anybody hurt. Making his way, there we go. This is what we were talking about. He is close enough, but this driver, so erratic, almost basically daring that officer to do that pit maneuver. Yeah. Move a little, move a little, move a little. I don't know. West, so he's under us? Oh, there he is. You know, in the end, they. Yep. He's. This is just this is. He is definitely alone in that vehicle. I'm kind of work with Dylan and Skyfox. He's driving recklessly like this, basically, like you said, cat and mouse, just taunting these officers, doing what he can to make it more difficult, and maybe just a little bit of showboating here. But in the end, hopefully it ends in a way where he's just going into custody. Looks like he's taking off some clothes right there. Yeah, it looks like he took off his sweatshirt, and now he's like looking out the window again. Definitely taunting these officers. I'm going to keep an eye on it, making that turn right now onto Sepulveda Boulevard, which is going to take us into a lot of traffic, especially if he's going to be making his way over to LAX. This is going to be one of those ones where our pilot, Dylan, is going to have to climb up. We're going to have to listen on the scanner. We might lose him underneath that tunnel, which I'm pretty sure we will. Hopefully it doesn't come to an end there. I mean, I want it to come to an end safely anywhere, but we don't want to not be able to see it. That is for sure. Right now, though, this driver now kind of just doing that round robin, weaving back and forth, bobbing back and forth, going into that tunnel. We're going to have to wait and see if he comes out the other side. I'm going to have to listen on the scanner as well, and we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get over to the other side safely with LAX Tower. No, it's not. It's not. Yep. There he is. Nope. Try that. That officer right there has had a couple of times where he's really trying to just get that pit maneuver. I'll tell you that right now, my pilot Dylan working LAX. They've got air rules out here as well. We have to climb up to like 2,000 feet to cross. So we're doing that right now. So it's like a little bit of an elevator ride, but we're keeping an eye on it. That cruiser right there looks like they're going to try to do another pit. Ooh. So close, and I was worried about that officer right there. They're on those transition roads that are going to take us into the LAX area. I thought I was, right there, and doors are open. But where's he going to run to? What's that all? If he jumps over that thing, where's he going to go? Yeah, no, he's not going to jump. Yep. Yep. Oh, come on, dude. You can't. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? No, no. And again, you can see him, basically, again, taunting these officers in a way. I saw his cell phone out earlier on. Maybe he was doing something live with this. But these officers, you can see the less than lethal right there, that orange gun that one CHP officer is pulling out. Sky Fox, we're moving around just a little bit. I hope we don't lose him behind the construction right there, Dylan. And right now we can still keep an eye on it, but we've got to move around, and LAX is kind of asking us, what are we going to do here? I think we're going to try and stay here just for this moment until we can cross over. But again, pursuit came to an end with a pit maneuver. That suspect out now on the railing. Hopefully we'll be able to move. Yeah, everybody's watching us. They probably heard it coming for a while, all those sirens. But right now, he's just kind of precariously hanging right there. Not even hanging. I would think it is one of those things where he's safer than we believe he is. But again, you just don't want to see this guy fall, even though he's taunting them. But in the end, this guy is going to have to come back over and just basically take his lumps, get those silver bracelets, and go into custody. Yeah. Yep. That Marla, very, very well put. We're trying to make that decision on how we're going to proceed here in the aircraft. If we go across, we might not be able to stop on that other side, and so we might be closer for a few moments, but then we're going to be farther away. So right now, we're just going to kind of hold this shot from where we're at. We can see that the officer is still trying to negotiate with him, but even if he hangs down, it's still. It's a drop that's going to definitely hurt. And you can see where he's going to wind up. If he doesn't wind up on the road, he's going to wind up in the grass right there. But again, these officers, it's going to be grass. Yeah. I couldn't tell you right now. That's one of those overpasses right there. It's definitely, I would venture to say he's going to hurt himself very badly, possibly broken bones. I would hope that it would not be an injury that would kill him. But again, we just don't want to see anybody hurt in this situation. These officers from California Highway Patrol, I'm sure they're talking to this guy. Pretty sure he's not armed, but how do you get him off that ledge when he was so desperate to get away for so long? And now he's kind of hanging there or sitting there on that ledge. In the end, he's going to have to go into custody. Hopefully he doesn't fall or even make that decision and try to jump. Right. Yeah. Right now I'm just kind of wondering what the conversation is. I'm sure those officers, even though they are maybe a little of hyped because of just pure adrenaline, they are human beings just like everybody else. After a long chase like that, and then that officer making that pit maneuver, and then that vehicle coming to an end, I'm sure they are also a little amped for the moment. There's this discussion, I'm sure, is just it's not worth it. Don't do it. Just come back over here. Let's put the cuffs on you. It's just whatever it is, you're just going to go into custody, opposed to possibly seriously hurting yourself, creating some or even worse. Right now, though, it's just more of a standoff type of situation. Like you said, the backdrop, you've got that LAX right there, the iconic LAX. It is right here in the LAX area, of course. And these officers, they've stopped all traffic. This might create some problems. I could imagine if I was in that backup needing to get on a flight like your husband was and now stopped and stuck there, that's going to create some problems for a lot of travelers. But right now the concern is for that suspect. He's sitting here on the ledge, they are talking, but right now this suspect not really moving. Can we get in the middle as well, or only one? Sorry about that. No, I was sorry about that. I had our mic off because I was talking with the pilot, trying to figure out how we're going to get this a better shot for everybody. But right now, I can tell you can see it right there. The only thing that we've been hearing or seeing more than even hearing is this is the body language. You can see that suspect moving his arms. He's talking again. So at least there is a dialogue, and that's the first start. That is the beginning of any kind of negotiation. Is a dialogue. So this suspect at least communicating with these California Highway Patrol officers. Again, none of them are going to make an aggressive move because there's no way they're going to get to him in time if he would decide to let go or let himself fall off the side of that. Again, you're saying about 50 to 60 feet. He would land in a grassy area. The roadway is actually a little bit closer to us on the screen. And as far as law enforcement, that's the thing. I've been kind of listening for that as well. And I'm wondering, we haven't seen any law enforcement make their way down there. I believe that's going to be Century Boulevard. So we haven't seen that. And that's kind of interesting because if he does decide to jump or fall or however you want to describe it, and he's not injured, he might be able to get up and make a run for it once again. Right now, California Highway Patrol, they're trying to negotiate. Skyfox, we're going to try to move it a little bit more so that we can see him a little clearer between those poles. But what to do? That is the big decision. This is the dynamic life of all first responders and law enforcement. Situations where excuse me, you have to improvise at every second most of the time. And right now, how do you get this guy into custody safely and then bring this thing to an end? I couldn't even imagine what they'd be saying right there, and maybe some folks at home put themselves in that position too. What do you say to this guy? What do you say to this kid? Do you say, it's going to be okay? You don't want to lie to them, but you just don't want them to fall off the side. Everything in the end will be okay. I mean, the reality is you're just going to go into custody and you're going to face whatever charges you have to face. But right now, this guy's just kind of sitting there on that edge, straddling the the guardrail of this transition that takes us into the LAX area. Just to be clear with everybody that may be watching, that if you're coming into LAX on Century Boulevard, you're probably still going to be able to get in, no problems whatsoever. There we go. He's down. That's a big plus. That's a big plus. And now he's kind of just checking to see what, how far it is. But this might be the opportunity. But again, this is what I'm saying. It's the risk versus reward. If one of the officers would have ran up and grabbed him at that last moment, that might have scared him and made him jump. So it is a very, very difficult situation. It's above my pay grade. I thank God many times that I am sitting here watching it, reporting on it, and not having to make these decisions that might injure somebody or myself. Well, it's going to be more than a few moments before LAFD gets here, and I'm not saying that in any kind of derogatory way. I mean, even if they got the call right here at this moment, you can see one of the fire trucks right there, and I believe that's going to be a battalion chief. So they're going to have to get the big truck in here with those airbags. We've seen that many times in the past, usually a jumper situation onto the freeway, and they'll bring out those big giant airbags. That truck not here yet, but that is a battalion chief, so they are aware of that situation. Probably, like you said, they've been called, and right now it's just one of these situations where they'll probably bring that airbag here, and then it's going to be more of a talk to this person, wait and see, try to wait this guy out. He does seem a little amped. That's the one thing I got to say. A little agitated. We saw him jumping up and down there on that guardrail just a few moments ago. We saw him agitated in that vehicle when he was taking off his T-shirt or the sweatshirt earlier on, throwing his hands out the window. Possibility, just a possibility that maybe he's on something right now, or under the influence of something. So there's that as well, and that also might cloud his decision-making process. Again, something else law enforcement has to deal with right there on, in that second, right, without any kind of formal training. So they have to improvise. They've got to figure things out on the fly all the time. Right now, we've seen this a lot in the past. Time is on the side of the law enforcement. They're going to let this guy wait it out. Hopefully he'll calm down, make some better decisions, and just basically give up. There's the fire truck. Yeah. There's another one. pretty quickly. We actually saw a ladder truck make its way past him earlier on. My guess is they're going to have to go all the way through the LAX area and bring themselves back to the basically going eastbound on Century Boulevard and make their way to basically where these law enforcement are, where the California Highway. Oh, they're already there. They're already there. You can kind of see them there through the underneath there. They are setting up their airbags. So they are here. They are setting up that airbag. That will inflate very, very quickly. We've seen this many times in the past. This might actually help to bring this to an end. That suspect might actually see that airbag and think it as an opportunity. I can jump, be safe, and continue to try and run. But clearly that won't happen. You're going to have a number of personnel down there around that airbag. They basically slide it out and then make themselves invisible, meaning they'll be underneath that overpass so that the suspect really won't be able to see them, which is a good idea because if he does jump and land in that airbag, law enforcement and the fire department will be right there to take him into custody. As it stands right now, you were talking about Sepulveda being one of the ones that is impacted. You can see that is the truth. That is going to be the Sepulveda Boulevard where we just came out from underneath there. And you can clearly see this is LAX. This is going to be the arrivals and departures, all terminals. This one is closed. So anybody making their way out here now, at this point, the best way to get here is going to be on Century Boulevard entering from the west. And that's pretty much, or Sepulveda from the north coming south. That one is probably open as well. But if you're coming off the 105, scratch that plan because it's going to be closed for some time. Yeah, they're probably seeing that airbag being dragged out right there. We can't really see it just because of our angle from where we're at. And Marla, you're right. I hope none of those guys get in trouble. I'm sure there's probably some of their bosses watching this afternoon, seeing all their crews looking and watching the activity that's nearby. Of course, this is something you can't not just turn your eyes away from, but that is a pretty large crowd out there of those workers that are working on the people mover. You can clearly see they probably have a better angle to where that airbag is going to be deployed at. Right now, it's one of those things that maybe we can move Skyfox around just a little bit to get a better angle, but I seem to be the bird in hand. It's one of those. This seems to be a good shot right now. You know what? That's great. That's really great to hear. And all these pursuits that we've been watching and covering, when nobody gets hurt and there is no damage, those are the best ones. And in this case, so far, this has been a pretty good pursuit. That suspect not injured. If he makes that decision, there they go. They're actually moving that airbag right now. So we're just going to keep an eye on what that suspect's going to do. You can see him. Clearly, he's seeing that there's movement down there because as soon as those firefighters started moving that airbag, he started moving around as well. Now, we've seen this in the past. Maybe he'll do one of those, like get away from where that airbag is, and we've seen that. But those airbags, very light. Those firefighters, very strong, and they'll be able to just kind of lift it up and move it. We've seen that in the past as well. Right now, though, a little bit of cat and mouse again. This suspect's just holding the law enforcement at bay. That airbag definitely deployed right now. Right there, you can see some of those California Highway Patrol officers and, of course, those firefighters. And again, I said in the past, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll make themselves scarce, basically go underneath that overpass, so the suspect will not see any law enforcement and just see that airbag and think, well, okay, I can jump. and I'll be okay. But then law enforcement is there. These guys, they're making themselves known. So this suspect maybe not going to jump, but right now, just wish he would basically just give up. Let these folks get back to their days. A lot of these folks might be missing their planes. Just it's very inconvenient for a lot of people out here as the suspect basically sits and waits before he goes into custody. I can't. Dylan, let's move to the east. Uh, Enough to see underneath the bridge here. I want to see the airbag. Maybe it can come back down lower. Again, we've we have seen in the past them bring out this. I have at least once or twice. They'll bring out the airbag, and then a suspect will literally jump into the airbag, and and right then they see the fire department and also the law enforcement basically just rush over and take that person into custody. Now, what that guy can do, he can basically move back and forth, try to get out of the way. But like I said, that airbag, it's just a big giant bouncy house as it would be, filled with air. We'll be able to move that very, very quickly. Hang on a second. Yeah, we can stop right here, Dylan. This will probably be good. Yeah, we can see it. Yep. And right now you can see that well, it seems like we're going to have to climb back up a little bit, Dylan. And basically, no, we got to climb up because they're losing our signal. But you can see law enforcement down there. What is really great to see, though, is that they're still allowing traffic out of the area. And so that Century Boulevard's still open. There's still traffic moving back and going out of the area. Traffic coming in, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. I know that is Century Boulevard, but where this portion of the roadway takes you, I don't really know, because usually when I'm driving this way, I'm one of those guys getting into the airport right there. Right now, though, it's basically a waiting game. That suspect, he's holding all the cards, but you know what? Time is on the side of law enforcement and the first responders. They're going to be able to wait this guy out until he makes his decision. If it's going to be jump into the bag, go into custody, walk over to the other, this guy's going to go into custody here sooner or later. Right now, he's just inconveniencing so many folks out here in the LAX area, so many people trying to make their flight, and right now, roads are closed. Getting into the airport, seems like getting out of the airport might still be open. No, definitely. The negotiators, they got to make their way here. California Highway Patrol has negotiators, and then of course LAPD. I'm not sure who is bringing their folks here, but of course anybody that's going to be trained to talk to that suspect, that's going to be the best bet. They'll be able to come down here, talk to them, and these guys are trained. And a lot of times we've heard it in the past. I've talked to some of these folks. The simple things like a bottle of water or snack will get that person off that ledge and over to that officer, and then they can take him into custody. Right now, though, they're not taking any chances. Safety of that suspect, paramount here. They've got that airbag out. They've got a number of law enforcement there on scene, and they don't want him to jump off there. Even though that airbag is there, they don't want him to jump off. They just want him to come over to them and go into custody and bring this thing to an end peacefully. Yeah, but if we go any lower, they lose our signal. So, yeah, so it puts us in a spot where we can't see anything. I want a better shot. Can we do middle? Well, I can tell you, Skyfox, we're moving it around just a little bit. We're trying to get a little bit of a different angle of this, and I just kind of was looking over there to the suspect. I don't see him on the ledge right there, and I don't see the airbag has been deployed. So oh, actually, or maybe he's blending into the railing right there, because it definitely doesn't seem like he is in custody. But he's still hanging out there. We're moving Skyfox around a little bit, just trying to see if we can get a better angle of what's going on. It is very difficult. I understand it is a very sensitive situation. We don't want to show that suspect. We don't want to see that suspect getting hurt, and we don't want to actually encourage that suspect to do anything. So we're kind of picking and choosing on what we can show right there. This is a portion of Century Boulevard that we were talking about, bringing you into LAX. It's now a staging area. It's amazing how many first responders have showed up here, and how much equipment is here as well. LA City Fire Department, it looks like there's got two engines out here, 2 squads. So that is a lot of personnel. They're probably down there with that airbag. The number of California Highway Patrol, and now you can actually see that what is closed. That is a portion of Century Boulevard, and this is actually now I guess they have a portion of the exit as well closed. That's going to create a lot of backup here at a LAX terminal. And when you say none of the operations at LAX have been affected, I think what they're talking about is the actual planes themselves. The planes are on time, the gates are open, all that's going to be moving along. As far as the passengers getting there, that might be a little bit more difficult. As you can see right there, there's a lot of closures down there because of that suspect. Definitely Century Boulevard. Looks like at least the westbound is going to be closed on some portions. But as far as coming off of Sepulveda Boulevard, off the 105, looking straight down, like I like to say, looking like a Google shot right there, it's going to be completely backed up, and I'm going to take a risk missing that suspect going into custody. Let's take a look at that horseshoe. It is really, really starting to back up now. Is this because of this suspect or just usual traffic? I'm sure the suspect is adding to that significantly. Right now, though, a lot of traffic at LAX. A lot of folks are going to be inconvenienced. And Skyfox now directly over LAX trying to get a better shot of this. But you can see that suspect still holding those officers at bay. I'm sure there is conversation. Hopefully this will be over by the time that negotiator arrives out here, but at any rate, anything they can do to bring this to an end safely, get that guy into custody, and these roads back open, that's the big concern right now for all those law enforcement that are down there, and firefighters. I'm going to talk to Dylan, my pilot. Yes, please. Yeah. So I guess we still have an open mic. I'm going to take a peek around here. You got firefighters all around this area. If you guys are just starting to watch us on the internet, I don't know why you missed us live. We got a lot of newsy goodness, and you had Marla to talk to you as well. Right now, this is a pursuit termination. LAX is where we're at. Sepulveda is actually the road that you're seeing right there, just to make sure that we are all on the same page. That road right there is going to be Century Boulevard as you make your way in and out of the LAX area. And where he is exactly, this is going to be an overpass that basically is off the 105. When you get off the 105 and you get onto Sepulveda, and then you make your way underneath the LAX runways, this is the way you get onto the actual terminals, or to where the terminals are. They did a pit maneuver, a sweet pit maneuver at that, and that vehicle came to a stop, and then that suspect got out and ran. He thought about jumping. He was over here in this area for a moment or two, but he's been basically moving his way back and forth. If you can't see it, I can tell you there is an airbag deployed underneath that bridge. And now, when some folks can't see it right now, and I'm just talking to the people that don't know what we're talking about as an airbag, maybe they're thinking a car airbag. What are you talking about? It's like in the stunt with stuntmen. They put out these giant airbags. The fire department have them for situations where people may fall, or a situation like this. They deployed it underneath him. It is more than enough to cushion his fall and not injure him if he does decide to jump or fall into it. Now, is he going to be able to get away? Not a chance. If he falls into that airbag, by the time that airbag is deployed, they're going to have so many law enforcement and firefighters over there holding him down and taking him into custody. It is just going to be in a blink of an eye. If he doesn't do that, the best way would be just basically go into custody. I want to stay a little bit farther away from him. I don't want to push in too tight because we don't want to see anything graphic. We don't want to be part of the problem. We're trying to be part of the solution out here as the media. But, oh, thank you. What happened? We're getting heat. That guy's going to take him into custody. Cool. What happened to the digital? And download the app. All these people are disappointed. Talking to you. Is that a dog? Is that the? What is that? Oh, live on the web, right? Fox LA Web. Cool. Thank you. So, a little delay there before we got to us. If you guys are just joining us, I don't know why you missed it earlier on. It was some good stuff that was going on down there. I'm bringing up some of the maps right there just so folks that are just getting here right now can kind of understand what's going on. Pursuit termination. This isn't an attempt suicide. It's a pursuit termination. It came out of the San Diego area, high speeds, reckless driving. We saw a lot of that reckless driving. That suspect, after that vehicle was pit maneuvered here at LAX, this is actually going to be one of the transition roads from Sepulveda Boulevard into the LAX terminals. That's where they actually did the pit maneuver, and it was actually a pretty good place to do it, because if this guy had gotten into that area where all those pedestrians are, gosh only knows with that crazy driving, we didn't want to see anybody get hurt, and law enforcement took that chance and that opportunity, as it would be, and did that pit maneuver. As soon as that vehicle stopped, that guy got out, ran over to that side, was going to jump off, but then clearly changed his mind. That's probably a good 50-foot drop right there. LA City Fire Department, they were called to the scene. They brought out what's called an airbag. I'm going to kind of push in a little bit so you can see just a portion of what we're talking about right there. That is that airbag that we're talking about. That is more than enough cushion for that suspect if he decides to jump, fall, however, off of there. If he lands into that airbag, he will be safe, no injuries at all. And then the law enforcement and those firefighters will be able to take him into custody, lickety-split. Right now, though, he's basically just kind of sitting out there on that ledge. You got a California Highway Patrol officer, that guy that you've seen momentarily closer to the center of the screen right now, has been very close to that suspect, and basically they just want to take him into custody. They just bring this thing to an end. Standoffs, a lot of times it's one of these things where you can say, well, it's a standoff. They have, time on their side. This is LAX. They are saying that none of the flights have been affected. That probably, seriously, honestly, is true. Flights are probably moving in and out of here. Planes are probably leaving, but hopefully they're leaving with their passengers, because this is blocking a lot of the ways into LAX. They've got to find another way around. Hopefully they're getting this information if they're making their way over here. Best way to do it right now, I would say, would be to come in off of Century Boulevard. Century Boulevard seems to be backed up a little bit, but it is the best way to get into LAX right now. If you're planning on coming to LAX off the 105, don't do that. Do not do that, because you're going to get caught up in this right here. You're going to have to find your way around and back over to the LAX terminals. Right now, though, pretty much a standoff. That suspect talking to law enforcement, fire department. They've deployed those airbags. Roads are closed, and that's going to be Century Boulevard. And I'm going to take that chance, because every time I seem to move away from something always happens. But you can see right there, really starting to back up. A lot of these folks trying to get out of the LAX horseshoe, and they're having to take other routes and or backed up. So this is going to create some problems for a lot of these folks out here. Expect delays if LAX is in your plans today. But right now, the biggest concern is to get that suspect into custody safely, get that car out of the roadway, and all these lanes reopened. I realize we're not on Facebook. I wish I could be able to interact with y'all. I'd love to hear what you're saying, read what you're saying, see what you're saying. If anybody knows me personally and can send me a link, and there is some sort of interaction, I would, no, I can't. Never mind. Because we're so high above LAX, I have no cell phone signal. But right now, it's a standoff. You can see that airbag pretty clearly right there. I might take a chance real quick so you guys can understand what is going on. You can see that suspect. You can see that airbag placed right there. If that suspect decides to move, those firefighters will move that airbag so fast. It's pretty impressive. They'll basically go out there and they'll move it. And I said it earlier on, if you were watching live, a lot of times the negotiators will, and it sounds so silly, basically say, hey, buddy, you want a soda? You want some water? You hungry? And that's what they're doing right there. They're placing some water and possibly something else right there. So if that suspect makes that attempt to go grab that water, they will tackle him, and so that they can take him into custody safely. But right now, that airbag is right underneath him. If he should fall, if he should willingly let himself go over the edge, he's going to land in that airbag. That airbag's going to deflate. He's going to be fine, and they're going to take him into custody. California Highway Patrol, they're here. They're taking care of business. Fire Department, LA City Fire, some of the best in the world, and they're ours out here in Los Angeles. They're here as well. So hopefully this is going to come to an end peacefully, sooner than later, for many reasons. Skyfox has a limited amount of fuel, and of course we're concerned about all these folks that are down there that are getting their flights interrupted, or their ability to get to their flight interrupted. It's funny, I just realized that we actually have a co-worker that's making his way down here today and to go to Scotland, and might not be getting here on time. I'm sure he was watching this, and I'm sure he's made other plans to get here quickly. But right now, you've got law enforcement on the ground in droves, along with first responders, and the suspect basically just biding his time. But you know he's going to get those. He's going to get those silver bracelets. They're going to be taken into custody. I don't know if they're going to bring him back to San Diego, because that's where this thing started, or if they're just going to book him up here. But right now, that's the suspect's vehicle. They did a great pit maneuver. That's the vehicle that did the pit maneuver. I'm sure they're going to be able to see highlights later on. California Highway Patrol, they're here. They're talking to him. And even if he does fall, he's going to fall into that airbag. Right now, really, just walk over to one of those officers, go into custody, bring this thing to an end. And anybody that's on the internet, I'm back with you guys. I'm sorry that I can't interact with you, answer any questions, or work the camera in a way that might make you guys feel better about what you're seeing. Right now, though, I can tell you that Skyfox, we've got about just under an hour's worth of fuel here on station, and we're watching this pursuit termination. You got a suspect over there. He's sitting on the guardrail of the overpass that takes you into the LAX terminal from the 105 on Sepulveda Boulevard. So that is completely shut down right now. Century Boulevard, it seems like the egress into LAX is still open. You can see a lot of those cars right there, but a portion of it is going to be closed for sure. So if you're planning on making your way to LAX today, do not take the 105. That's not the way to get in here because that one is going to be the worst of all of them. If you approach Sepulveda southbound, like basically from the north, making your way south, basically more for the locals. If you go past if you're coming down Sepulveda and you pass the In and Out, that's the way to get into the LAX area off of Sepulveda. Otherwise, just use Century Boulevard until this is cleared up. You can see the fire department down there. They've got their airbag deployed. If that suspect falls, stumbles, decides to jump willingly, however you want to put it, he's going to land in that airbag. He will be okay. Law enforcement down there, along with the fire department, they will take him into custody lickety-split. Law enforcement up here as well. I believe that there may be a negotiator talking to him, just trying to get him to basically just walk over and go into custody, bring this thing to an end. This pursuit came from the San Diego area. That the driver of the vehicle, that's the person that you see right there, the suspect, very reckless driving, high speeds, slow speeds, coming very close to a lot of vehicles. But in the end, never, as far as we know, did not make contact with any other vehicles on the roadway, which is a huge plus. But it did seem that he was very agitated, possibly under the influence of some substance. A lot of hand flailing out the window, a lot of taking his sweatshirt off, putting his sweatshirt on, taking his sweatshirt off. So windows down, windows up, things like that. So clearly there's something going on there. The original want, reckless driving, which we witnessed that also, but part of the reckless driving was wrong way on the freeway down in the San Diego area. Initially it was San Diego PD, but once he got onto the freeway, clearly you can see California Highway Patrol picked it up, and they picked it up and handed it off and handed it off and handed it off to the different California Highway Patrol agencies as he made his way northbound through San Diego, up into Orange County, and then here into Los Angeles. Now, after a pit maneuver, that suspect got out, ran, made his way over to this wall, guardrail, and is about 60 feet off the ground. And you can see what we were talking about when I say agitated. We can see what we were talking about when I said that unusual activity, possibly under the influence. Oh, come on. Now he's doing some other crazy stuff. But at any rate, this suspect definitely playing it up for officers, trying to stay out of custody. But in the end, I can pretty much assure you he is going to go into custody. And it's just inconveniencing so many folks out here trying to make their way over to LAX. And one of our co-workers, Chris, he's one of those folks. I know he's making his way to LAX today. Hopefully, I know for a fact that he's got the info, so he's going to be able to make his way in here as quickly as possible. But so many folks are going to, there's that possibility they're going to be missing their flights today because this suspect decided that he's going to basically create this standoff out here on this overpass in the LAX area. I'll be back with you guys in a moment. I don't know what he has in his hand. I'm sure somebody's asking that. I'm wondering as well. Earlier on, it looked like he had his cell phone in his hand. He had his cell phone out the window. I was actually wondering if he was trying to, maybe put this on the internet somehow or on his Facebook or whatever, or TikTok or whatever his choice of social media was, because he did have his cell phone out earlier on a lot, out the window and etc. Now, just kind of standing there talking with law enforcement. That law enforcement would be California Highway Patrol. Canines here as well. I don't know what that dog could possibly do to bring this to an end any quicker. That's a good. A good question as well, but I can tell you LAX PD is here, LAX Police. LAPD is here, California Highway Patrol is here, and of course LA City Fire Department is here, and all working together right now. Those are California Highway Patrol, California Highway Patrol. Maybe LAPD is not here. Let me see. Take that chance again. Let's see what we got. What do we got? That's Airport Police, Airport Police, Airport Police, Airport Police. Yeah, maybe. Oh, there's LAPD. LAPD Pacific Division is here as well. And up. Don't, dude, don't play these games. I think he's. Hang on. I'm sure that's part of the discussion down there, but I think what he did is he tied his sweatshirt to the guardrail, and he didn't tie the other part around his neck, thank goodness. That's what I was just looking at. Because if that's the case, then he could actually kill himself. So, yeah, it just made everything a lot more tense. And I'm sure that law enforcement is thinking about that as well. And just to be clear, he did not tie it around his neck, but he did tie it around the guardrail. And clearly there was a lot of taunting of law enforcement the entire time during that pursuit. Came out of the San Diego area. That driver was driving the wrong way on the freeway at one time. That's what got the attention of San Diego PD. They got behind it for a while. They started the pursuit. Then California Highway Patrol picked it up. Basically made its way northbound along the 5 freeway up into the Orange County area. And then from the 5, it made its way over to the 91 to the 605, 605 to the 105, and the 105 off at Sepulveda, and brought him here to LAX. Now, where is he exactly? If you didn't already know, this is going to be a transition to the LAX terminals off of Sepulveda. So this is going to be the 105 access off of Sepulveda into the LAX area. Let's take a look what this is doing to LAX, because this is one of the main arteries that brings you into the terminal area that is now closed, and also exits. So you can see a lot of backup out here. This is, LAX has been busy, but a lot of this is actually being caused by folks that cannot get back out and might be recycling back into the horseshoe, as it would be, trying to make their way out of the LAX area. Right now, can tell you that as far as they keep saying LAX, the operations are fine here. Yeah, of course they are. The planes are taking off and landing as they should be. But the suspect is still here, and while that's going on, folks are going to have a hard time getting into LAX. Now, that suspect's been very, very agitated. We've been watching him on the rail, off the rail, moving around. If he does fall, jump, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, he's going to land into that airbag right there. I would venture to say not suicidal, because of the fact that he hasn't done anything in the past to be suicidal. That kind of nonsense right there, that's what makes it so dangerous, even makes it difficult for us to watch or even shoot it, because he keeps threatening. Just strange activity, besides getting very close to a lot of other vehicles, weaving in and out. And then when he did get off the freeway, he was making these crazy maneuvers on the roadway, weaving back and forth, U-turns and etc., basically taunting officers. They did stop him before he made his way into the LAX area, for good or for bad. And everybody has an opinion. There's a lot of folks will be like, oh, they're messing up everybody's flight. Well, it could have been a lot worse. You know, we don't know how this could have gone. He could have made his way into that hole, into the LAX terminals themselves, not get out and run, but he might have hit somebody. There's a lot of pedestrian traffic over there. It's very hectic. Anybody that's been to any airport knows that. So the officer made that decision and pitted him before he made his way into the actual LAX terminals. And that was, to me, was a good move. Now, you have a lot of folks that are getting caught up in traffic, and they're having a difficult time making their flights. But as far as injuries go, well, it stands right now, nobody's been injured. No officers, no pedestrians, and not even that suspect. I can tell you if that suspect just rolls over backwards and falls off of here, lands in that airbag, he will be fine. Um, but it's that whole thing, what he's doing with that, with his sweatshirt and the gesturing and all that. That's the problem. That's what law enforcement has to deal with right now. Driving for quite some time. Don't know if he had any water while he was making his way up here. We were over it for about 45 minutes. It's clearly he was driving a long time before that. But right now, more of a standoff type of situation here at LAX. Might not be too exciting to watch. I mean, the highlights are what it's going to be all about. We did see some crazy maneuvers. We did see a great pit maneuver. We saw that driver just doing strange things. Right now, though, fire department's here. Airbags are deployed. Suspects on that ledge. California Highway Patrol officers talking to him, trying to get him to just give up. Just got a little bit of internet, and the first thing I get is a text from my assignment desk. Thank you, guys. We're hearing that he's possibly armed with a knife. So that's what we've been keeping up with. Oh, we're live on YouTube, so I'm finding that out. I still can't follow you guys because I don't have any internet. I would love to follow along with you guys and see what you're asking me to do or not do, or what your opinions are on how this is being shot. But right now we're hearing that possibly as a knife. I'm not so sure about that. I don't think those officers would be that close. It does look like he has something in his hand right there. Maybe it is a knife. Maybe it is a knife. So right now it's just one of these, it's a standoff. And, most of the time is on the side of law enforcement. If this wasn't at LAX, they'd probably just say, we'll sit here and talk to you for 4 hours, 5 hours, as long as you need to work this out and come to your realization that, there is no way out. So right now, it's more of a situation where they just want to get this guy into custody. But the folks that are trying to make their flights, these are the ones right now that are being inconvenienced. These are the people that are going to, if they're running late, they're not going to make it. Because if you're making your way down here today and you're coming in off of Sepulveda, there's a good possibility you're going to get caught up in a lot of backup or a closed road so that you can't make it there. So you got to make that U-turn. Also, I'm just kind of, I don't know what people are thinking. Some people might be saying, no, what we're concerned about is this guy. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. There's no doubt about that. He's been posturing for quite some time. Clearly, this person, I would venture to say, not suicidal. We watched him drive that car very recklessly, but never made contact with anybody, never hit anything, never did anything to make it look like he had an intent to end his life. And the fact that he got pitted right there, that he got pitted there. He didn't pick this spot to stop and then basically run over to that ledge. So there's a lot going on in that favor. Right now, though, it's basically a long waiting game out here at LAX. Like I said, I know that we're on YouTube. I wish I could at least follow along, see what your comments are. I know that our digital team has all texted me as well, but it's one of those things. I'll get internet for a second or two because we're at 2,500 feet above LAX because that's where we need to be for the aircraft to land and take off safely. So that's what's going on. Morris is asking also about, did he tie that sweatshirt around his neck? He tied it to the railing. There's no doubt about that. And also, there you go again. He did not tie it around his neck. So he's threatened to a couple of times, but hasn't done it. So there's a lot here that I'm sure these officers are, like I said, we're in a relaxed situation where we can kind of make decisions that really don't affect anything. But those law enforcement, the guys and gals that are around him down there, their decisions and their actions will affect things. And nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. We don't want to see that suspect hurt. We just want to see him go into custody. And it's a very tense moment, I'm sure, down there on that transition road over Century Boulevard at the LAX area, making your way into the LAX area. But right now, it's more of a standoff than anything else. I'm sure they're talking to him. I can tell you Skyfox will probably be here for another, that's the pause for where Dylan fills in the blank. We're probably here for about another 20 minutes or so before we're going to have to leave for fuel, or make a decision what we're going to do. At any rate, the standoff continues after a pursuit that came up from San Diego. It ended with a pit maneuver at LAX on the overpass that brings you right over Century Boulevard that would have brought you into LAX for departures, because we're up on the upper level.